Hello, my loves. We're going to do a quick energy tap in and find out energetically what we need in this moment, this point, in this time. All right, so I'm going to wait for the notification to go out and finish getting set up on here. Okay. I know you guys don't even know that I'll be standing now while I'm doing these readings. And it's been working with my nervous system reset. I'm telling y'all. Especially if you're used to sitting all day. All right, let's go on over here and check in. We're going to wait for the notification to go on that. Hey, hey, hey. Hey. Hey, Taj. How are you, my love? Taj, starting next week, I am going to be breaking down a lot of the things that we've been talking about in this Quasi era. I'm going to start putting it together. Oh, girl, listen. No, you're tapping in. So a lot of it's now about refinement. So yeah, things may feel chaotic, but you're really going for refinement. You are really going through a refinement. And, ooh, hold on, Taj. I'm closing my blinds up. Okay, so also, Taj, just so you know, starting next week, you're going to get a lot clearer at this because we're going to be taking it step by step of how to navigate this energy. So, like one of the things that I did not like when I was going on the religious aspect of, like going to church and stuff, because, that's how I grew up. I grew up in church. Then I started seeking truth because a lot of the stuff that I was learning didn't add up to what I was reading in the Bible, okay? But one of the things that I was big on is they telling you how to get to the end destination, but nobody's giving you steps, okay? I see. We talked about that. Yeah. Okay, Mama, I'm here. But with that being said, I also want you to rejoice because we also said once Grandpa, we talked about Grandpa and being prepared and what that meant for you. Remember? Which also kind of works into energetically where we are. Okay? So energetically being worked into where we are. So you are not, you're right where you're supposed to be. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and get this started, y'all. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. Y'all can see I feel better today, right? Oh, my voice feels so much better today, y'all. And can I just say, okay, before I begin, we're going to do a quick story time. I was in meditation this morning, okay? And I'm getting together this thing that I've been wanting to do for years, and I'm going to tell you guys about it the more that it develops, right? But so I'm getting together in the spirit and in meditation this particular thing that I want to do, okay? And as I go in and take myself into the actual event, right? And I tap into what it feels like, the feeling of it, and I'm sinking into it, right? I begin to cry because I can feel as I'm in that energy, right? This is not just about me embracing my self-worth and embracing my value and embracing my essence and embracing who I am. It's not just about my journey of forgiving myself. It's not just my journey of dealing with whatever shame or guilt that may have been put on by either belief systems on a religious aspect or belief systems of limitation throughout childhood or belief systems of limitation that I may have created in relationships where I was not honoring myself, right? I can honestly say There's something that broke in the atmosphere, because as I'm in meditation this morning, it's like I can literally feel the freedom, right, of everybody right now that's tapping into their feminine energy and owning who they are. It's not so much about what people think about you anymore. It's not so much how you come across to people anymore. It's more about being able to be your authentic self, okay? Showing up in any environment, any environment. It's really about being okay with who you are, using, embracing what we call flaws and all. Okay, so it's being you unapologetically. It's learning to be your own best friend. It's learning to first be still before reacting to something externally that don't really have nothing to do with you per se, but you're just reacting, because the reaction is a reflex. So you got to build new muscles. So instead of reacting, you got to respond or take action. Different types of energy, okay? Totally different types of energy, okay? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give my disclaimer before we sound the tone and begin these messages. Once again, I have pre-pulled the cards because you guys know that I am tapping in and refining my healing with my sinuses. And I don't want to overextend my voice. And I've been on the phone having the most beautiful conversation. Yeah, I was supposed to be on here earlier, but I was having the most beautiful conversation literally for the past 3 hours. Just talk about confirmation after confirmation. Okay, so disclaimer is this, y'all. These messages are not for everyone. If you are not here to do your spiritual work, then this message may not resonate with you, okay? These messages are also timeless, which means if you do not understand, you can put it on the shelf, okay? So you can take what you need, put it on the shelf, or you can leave what you don't need and circle on back in case you need some confirmation, motivation, inspiration, okay? So, because they're timeless. This is all about resonance, okay? Next, access is going to be granted to you based on your inner belief system or your inner knowing. And really and truly, we're not even in a belief system energy anymore. It's more into a knowing, the inner knowing or your inner gnosis, okay? So that's where the shift can be felt from the Piscean age, which was more about believing, aka you believe what people told you instead of reading, sacred text for yourself, instead of listening to your intuition, right? We've now stepped into the age of knowing, or what you call inner gnosis, okay? Where your gut, something told you, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, whatever, Allah, Buddha, it don't matter, okay? They're all in the same energy, something internally, okay? Now, access is going to be granted to you based on the limits that you have given yourself, or the inner, belief system or construct in which you function on, okay? So this means, simply put, if you think you cannot have, you are not, entitled to, okay? Then you are not going to be granted it. I'm just going to let you know now, okay? So over here, instead of you calling yourself a sinner, what we finna do is give you some information so you can actually see that the word sin, S-I-N, okay? When they talk about sin, that means simply missing the mark. Go research that and Google that. Look that up. Go do some research, okay? So, but I'm also going to give you one deeper, because we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities in higher places. They talking about as above, so below. We're talking about archetypal energies in the heavens through the planets, okay? We're also talking about subtile energies, okay? Because we're all our own planets, the universe, walking around, okay? So this is why you can be standing next to the store and someone, and it feels like they sucked all of the energy out of you, and it feels icky. Or this is why you can be standing next to someone and it feels like sunshine. They just got good energy or good aura, okay? Because we're dealing with energy. Everything is energy. Everything has a vibration. Everything has a tone, including you, my love, okay? So one of the indications also when we talk about sin, you need to know sin also equals to the moon. Why is that important, my loves? Okay. Now, this is research. Go do your own research. If you go back to ancient stuff, okay, or if you go back to some Hebrew text or some text before it was translated into English and mistranscribed and giving you different definitions, sin is also linked to the moon. And what does the moon energy represent, my love? That energy represents your emotions. And what have we been talking about since I started this channel? What have we been saying? We have been telling you, or I have been saying to you, or you have been vibrating or resonating with, right? Your emotions is what fuels your reality. Okay, let me say that again. Your emotions, it what fuels your reality. Your emotions is what creates your boundaries as well as your limitations. Okay. Now, how does that work? Your emotions is what gives your thoughts energy, and your thoughts is what then produces an action or a reaction, okay, which is then going to produce an outcome, aka a manifestation, aka what you may call matter, material, or maybe even karma, okay, or the effect portion of things. Just so you know this, okay? So I know I had to break that down. I don't know why they sent me off on that tantrum, because I was really talking about access, okay? Energy is fluid, so you need to keep in mind that I can say that this is your energy, or I can say this is a looping energy, okay? But you want to place the energy where it needs to be placed. Now, that simply means, my love, if it is your energy and you're the one out here with the messy shit, doing the fuckery, you need to own that shit. That's what that means, okay? Don't deflect, don't project, own your shit, okay? Also, last but not least, I am not your guru. Okay, I am here sharing information with you as I remember who I am and I awaken to the truth within me, helping you then to remember who you are and awaken the truth within you. Okay, so you don't really need me. We have made an appointment to show up here at this time in space to help each other remember. Okay. Now, I told you guys that your nervous system needs to be rebalanced because we are now coming online, and starting next week, we are going to start to put all of that together, okay? We're going to start to put together your 12-strand DNA linked to your nervous system, as well as your 12-strand DNA linked to what you may call the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 disciples, the 12 disciplines, okay, your 12 chakras. We're going to start to connect all of these things and how they function in your nervous system and your subtile bodies, so you can begin the activation and have more access into remembering who you are. Okay, with that being said, let's get into this reading, okay? I'm going to go ahead and sound the tone, okay? We're going to clear the tone. Now, normally I'm going to ring the tone 4 times, okay? If I ring the tone more than 4 times, that's because the energy has not settled yet. Now, one of the reasons for ringing the tone is to set the tone of the energy for the space and this message transmission that we are going to have, okay? So the tone gets rid of any distorted frequency in the ethers, okay? Not just in my space, but because you're hearing the tone, it's also going to clear your energetic field, okay? Where there is, 2 or more gathered, right? We have powerful energy. So my energy combined with your energy has enough energy to clear your auric field also, okay? Here we go, y'all. First tone. That was a good one. Okay, so we balance the energies to all 4 corners, okay? Symbolizing south, north, west, east, which is also 4 elements, right? Elements are going to be air element, which is your thoughts, water element, which is your emotions, fire elements, which is movement and your actions, and earth elements, which is your physical matter. So manifestation of things, physical things, okay? We operate in all 4 of these elements in this realm. That is how you create, all right? So the tone and the energy of this message is simple. What you're being asked to do as we are doing this message and this transmission is to pay attention to your perception. Why is this important? As you see the world is how the world is going to appear to you. So if you see the world as being difficult, then universal law is that difficult shit gotta appear in your life for you to experience the world that way, okay? So if you see the world as one operating with ease, then guess what? The universe needs to support that, and it needs to send you a situation where your life is easeful, okay? And I think I explained to you guys on the live yesterday how you can incorporate that into your real time, okay? Things don't have to be settled outside of you. The first need to be settled internally so you can then have an external manifestation, okay? So Perception is the tone that we are tapping into today. Why is this important? Let's read. The frequency of perception supports our natural curiosity, moving us beyond our comfort zone to find the edges of what we perceive as real and to take a good, hard, deep look at it. Can I tell you something? This is the energy that we stepped into now, where you are going to have to pay attention to your perception. And that simply means that instead of looking outside of you, you may have to start paying attention to maybe what frequency you're resonating on right now. What frequency have you resonate on now? And can I just say, it feels like what I'm being asked here to ask you is, how many passes have you given out? How many times do people have to show you who they are before you believe them? How many times have you judged a situation based on your perception and that really wasn't the perception of a thing? Whether you judged it too harshly or whether you judged it in naivete, right? How many times have you seen a situation, right? Not so much based on what the situation really is, but based on your internal rejections, insecurities, projections, right? Outwardly projections, which are projection to other people. How many times have you been able to perceive the world through somebody else's gaslighting you, love bombing you, or bullshitting you, right? This is where the spirit of discernment comes in, because as an empath or someone that's working in this timeline that we're in, where you're getting access to being able to literally bend energy and navigate space and time, okay? Because space and time really is just energy. It's really just energy bending and folding within itself, okay? It's a whole scientific thing. You can go research it, okay? Right? So the question is, your perceptions are not only just lying in how you view the world, but your perceptions also lie in how you view relationships, okay? And not just the relationships with other people, but also the relationship with yourself. And a lot of times the relationships that you have with yourself is not based on shit that you've implanted over the years, right? They're usually based on experiences that you've had either over the childhood experience, right? Which is why a lot of empaths go into the savior complex, right? One of the things for having a savior complex is maybe being the oldest sibling in a group. You're the oldest sibling, okay? Or maybe being in a situation where there was always toxic shit happening and you would be the person to go save it, the person that's the victim, whether that person was your mom being hit, abused, or whether that person was your cousin being bullied, or whatever, being bullied within the household. There would have been some type of childhood trauma linked to you either feeling the need to protect yourself or protect other people, okay? So you need to know that, all right? So this is important because as an empath, all right, you need to have a perfect alignment with perception, or let's say discernment of perception, seeing things as they really are, which means finding your place in a situation. And sometimes when you find yourself in a place in a situation, especially if that place in that situation has nothing to do with you, you learn that you don't have to involve yourself. You learn that you don't have to make a comment. You learn that you don't have to give a lick of advice. Okay? You learn that you don't have to give a lick of advice. All right? Now, could you guys, when you come in, do me a favor, my loves, and put a like on the video. I be forgetting to ask you guys to do that. Just go ahead and put a like on the video. Okay? So, the overall tone that they want us to pay attention to as we're moving forward in this energy, okay, and I'm going to say within the next 24 hours or until the next time I jump back on here. So when you get up tomorrow to step into your day and you step into work, you want to be mindful, right, to see things as they are. And when I'm talking about seeing things as they are, mean is don't really pay so much attention to what you see with your physical eyes. Make sure that you're also paying attention to what you cannot see with your physical eyes, the energy signature that environment is bringing on. And if the energy signature does not match with your environment, then you need to discern what you should do, okay? Because sometimes you try to input yourself and stuff because you're the person that's used to making sure that there's no dead air in the room. So you're the person that's always used to filling space and allowing other people to feel comfortable within themselves. You're the person that would allow somebody else to make you feel uncomfortable so they can feel comfortable, right? It ain't no more doing that. It ain't no more doing that. Okay? It is no more doing that, just so you know. Okay? Now, I want to say the looping energy that you have to pay attention to is the mantis beings. Okay? Now, usually when the mantis beings show up in your energy, especially if they're showing up upright, because remember, we are judging archetypal energy. Okay, and the way that we're judging these archetypal energy is on the emotional plane, on the plane of thought. So we're talking about thought patterns here, emotional patterns here, which leads to your action. Okay, so I'm not literally talking about the praying mantis species. I'm talking about the archetypal energy that they represent, that we all as human beings get affected by. Okay, so don't get caught up in the being. Get caught up in the archetypal of the energy, okay? So this energy, when it's upside down, it represents stagnation. It represents being narrow-minded, okay? It represents, I want to say, somebody being sensitive, but not being sensitive in the way of, oh my gosh, let's talk about this so we can, evolve and move past this, right? It's, oh my God, why did you do that? Oh my God, you hurt me. Oh my God, I know I yelled at you, but you didn't have to say that to me. That was hurtful. Okay, yes, I may have been being a little bitch and a little bitchy, but you didn't have to come back, right? So technically somebody's saying, well, okay, I was being a bitch, but you don't have to be bitchy back to me. Okay, that's what this energy is showing up here, right? Now, this energy also means literal. So, because it's saying perception here, and this energy can also mean literal energy, it's also being minded to take people at their word, right? So, if you and Kelley is really good for this, y'all. Like, I absolutely, one of the things that I admire about her resonance, and one of the things that I always tell her, she resonate in my life, is she is very fucking protective about her boundaries. Okay, very fucking protective about her boundaries. Okay, so and she's very literal, right? So if you walk in and you tell her, well, you know what, I just constantly attract negative people, and I can be moody, so I don't, I tend to attract negative people, and I'm moody. You know what she's going to do? Okay, well, thank you for letting me know you're moody. I know not to mess with you because, I don't want to come check your temperature to see what mood you in every day. So I'm going to take what you said, and then you can come find me when you're in a mood where you want some positive shit, because you also told me that you're a negative person. You see what I'm saying? So she takes you literally. So this energy is saying, yeah, some of this perception thing, right? Because as empaths, we have the gift to see past what people are saying to you, because you can feel. You can feel maybe the hurt. And this is why you get caught up in these trauma bonding relationships, because you out here trying to save a person that don't want to fucking be saved. Instead of understanding that the secret here is you can't save nobody, baby. You can only save yourself, right? So you start, hey, how are you? Peace to you, my love. So you start having to operate from a place where you can discern what is your energy, what is not. You start to be able, when you're having deception with your, when you're having deception, right? And you start to discern energy, your perception shifts. Because now you know what's your trigger, right? Now you know, okay, I don't really have to respond to this because you're playing into my trigger of being insecure about maybe, let's say, not having a college degree, okay? Because I could raise my hand to that one, right? Did I tell y'all about the story of how I went in to actually get my certification in neuro-linguistic programming, because one of my friends told me that she was going to take the advice from the PhD. And when I asked her, wow, is that his name? She said, no, he just got a PhD. So I went, right, because of my insecurity, I went out to get a certification just so I can feel validated to sit here, even on YouTube, and have this conversation with you about shit I already fucking know. So my own insecurity and my perception, right, on how I viewed being able to come and share this information at that point told me that in order for me to be heard, I needed to go and get the certification. So just know that pay attention to what's literally being said to you. Pay attention to this energy, because this energy can also, y'all, mean stagnation, narrow-mindedness, and people projecting their shit on you. This is why it's important for you to know who you are. So if you know that you're a kind person, and you show up always with an intention, first of all, of being, within your moral compass, not saying things purposely to hurt somebody, even when they say something to purposely hurt you, right? So if you know you've been working on yourself and owning your stuff, and you walk into a room and somebody accuses you of doing or saying something that was not your intention, baby, you can shut them down immediately. Okay, no, sweetheart, I understand that you feel that way, and you have absolutely the right, to feel that way. But I can also know that that is not my energy that I came in with. That might be yours, and you may want to sit and take a look at that and stop projecting onto me. By all means, you can say that. If they can tell you the shit that you making them feel a certain type of way, just know your perception and how you're able to read energy lets you know that this is not yours. And energetically, you don't have to own anything energetically that's not yours. That's not yours. Good and evil is a polarity. It's a spectrum, baby. This is why you go through this neutral, right? When they talk about the way into this kingdom of heaven, or the way to nirvana, or the way to your prana, or the way to your eternal life is within. It is within, because within you see what's your shit and what's not yours. You understand that you are your own guru, baby. Ain't nobody here to save you. The only way that you can save this world that we in is by everybody taking responsibility for their own inner world. The outside world or the external world is not going to change when you have people at war within themselves. Okay? She said, my last relationship broke my save button. Honey, can I just tell you, my last relationship is what put me on to, I did not know that there was such a thing as narcissists. Can I just tell y'all, I did not, do y'all want to know how I found out about narcissism? Because the last relationship I was in, this person pulls out a video to go down 10 things that you should know about a narcissist, y'all. Okay? And as they began to play the video about the 10 things, I realized, well, fuck, you got 8 of those 10 things, and I don't got one. Like, I may have a trying to save complex because I feel too much and I feel people pain and I see the best in people, right? But that means that I got some own internal work to do with my own shit. But I didn't even know I was with a narcissist until he told me I was a narcissist and started to play the fucking recorder back to me, y'all. And then I'm like, wait a minute. The first 7 things that this lady said, you do those things. You do those things, right? So what I'm saying to you guys is this. That person could only come into my vortex, right? Because of the misaligned, fragmented place within myself, right? They were able to siphon energy off of me because there were certain things about myself that I was not embracing, I was not healing, I was not loving, I was not forgiving. Fuck, I just realized the other day there were certain places in me I was not seeing or didn't want to be seen. So how can you get into a relationship, any relationship, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a businessship, whether it is a commitment to your spirituality with yourself, right? How can you get into any situation when you have a code replaying in your mind that you don't want to be seen? Right? But let me tell you how this plays out, right? So you don't know that you're looping in your head, not wanting to be seen, or your loop could be not being loved, or your loop could be not being enough, or your loop could be not having enough, whatever your loop is, right? Because you're responsible for you going into you to pay attention to what conversations you're having with yourself about yourself, right? Because this energy right here will try to tell you what you should be paying attention to about yourself that's not even your shit. Do you know that a lot of us walk around with these loop recordings about who we are, about how successful we can be, about how much we can be loved, about what we can accomplish based on other people's shit? other people's limited belief? Do you understand that? Do you know that? Do you know if you take the time to sit still and listen to the voice within you, you will begin to see that some of the shit you're replaying in your mind and it's not even your shit. Okay, come on. What do you mean? Let me give you an example. Okay, let's go down this. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, so you just got out of a relationship, right? And you hurting, right? You hurting, right? Now you over here in your healing path, okay? And you vibing. You not, like you're not even trying to blame nobody, right? Okay, so now you done took the time to do the healing. You done found somebody that you think that you can meet with, right? But now your girlfriend over here, she's single and she broke it and she not doing her work, y'all. Come on now. She not doing her work, and we go through these phases when sometimes it takes us a little while to get to do the work, and sometimes people just don't want to do the work. But whatever, girlfriend not doing her work, right? But you in a good space with your, this new person, y'all vibing, you in a good space, you done did your work, you done took the time out to self-love, but you sitting over here on the phone every night with your girlfriend as she tell you how men ain't no good, why they ain't no good men on the face of this earth, or why you sitting on the phone with your homeboy and he telling you why women ain't no good and they're a bunch of bitches and you can't trust nobody, and you co-signing, right? Maybe not even fully paying attention because you may be on the phone, going through your phone, right? You maybe not even paying attention because you messing with the kids and you got shit going on in the background, but you, yeah, girl, yeah, I'm saying, yeah, girl, I agree. So you're fucking co-signing and agreeing to all type of energetic shit that you don't spend a year working out of. Done met somebody that's not vibrating on the same shit that she talking about, right? But you're co-signing your girlfriend's shit. You're co-signing your girlfriend's shit or your boyfriend or your man's shit, right? And then you want to know why a month or two later into this new situation that you done manifested into your life, you having fucking problems, right? So the first thing that the person may do, right, to make you feel a type of way, right, because maybe he's scratching or she's scratching the surface of something that you thought you healed that you may need to look at, because the universe is saying tap, 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 tap. Are you really ready for this? But here, I presented you love, but are you going to go back into your old perception and see the world, right, in stagnant energy? Are you going to go back and do that, right? Tap, tap, here it is. So instead of you going to your new boo and having a conversation maybe about, you know what, when that was said, that made me feel like XYZ. And I just want to be sure that that is not the intent or the energy in which you meant it to be, because it doesn't make me feel safe to come and share my feelings. It doesn't make me feel safe that you're going to be there for me. It doesn't make me feel stable in this relationship. What do you do? Hey, girl. Yeah. You know what you be talking about? These niggas ain't shit, girl. Yeah, because you trying to do the same thing, that other one did. So now you go back down the same fucking loop again. Not even understanding that some of those conversations that you was having in your head about your relationship before you picked up the phone and called your girlfriend was those same seated conversation that started 2 months ago when she broke up with her man. Because prior to her breaking up with her man, men were wonderful. Her boo was everything, baby. Right? So instead of having the conversations with your girlfriend, okay, girl, well, okay, I know he cheated and he know this, girl, but, have you really thought about maybe how you attract people that don't really love you the way that you need to be loved? Girl, let's unpack this. Let's talk about maybe why we've attracted this relationship in the past, Let's talk about maybe what he symbolized, right? So instead of having those conversations, you on the phone having conversation about how, men ain't no good, or how women is bitches and they can't be trusted. And then you want to know why you can't find a decent relationship. And it can play out like that for jobs too, right? It can play out like that for careers, for jobs, in friendships, right? You feel like you need a good group of solid people in you, but you're still walking around with a loop that you can't trust nobody. So how do you expect that you're going to manifest trustworthy people in your life if you don't feel like people should be trusted? Exactly. Don't entertain or co-sign nothing that's not in your truth spectrum. So one of the things that you guys don't know, and I'm just going to be thankful for Kelly Kell because she already told me I could use her as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and use her as an example, okay? So Kelly Kell is a consultant, and she would be called what I like to call, I don't know if y'all remember Olivia Pope. From what show was that? Was that Scandal? The Fixer, okay? So Kelly's like a business fixer, okay? So she's a consultant, okay? And she's worked with all of these wonderful people. I'm not going to name drop because I want to put her business out there, but she's worked with these big name people doing big shit, okay? So now she's in a space where she don't necessarily want the big clientele anymore. She wants something more with ease, where she don't got to do too much. You know, she don't want to do too much, right? She want ease. She want to go up, show up, you know, maybe give her something very strategic to do where she don't got to do too much thinking, right? Because she with ease. Okay, so outside of maybe having a coaching client here, you know, where she got to do a lot of emotional work, she don't want her contractual work, right, to be one of frustration. She want ease. So she got this new contract the other day. And she, you know, she comes and she's telling me, friend, it's so easy. Like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And she says, well, I'm going to need you to remind me, though, friend. You know, like when I start talking shit, like I'm going to need you to remind me, right, that I asked for this, right? So 2 days ago, could have been last night. Could have been last night. Oh, no, it was last night. So last night we unpacking the day, okay? We unpacking the day. New contract, right? We unpacking the day. New contract. She's learning the client. The client is learning her. And then she says to me, girl, do you know that this client had me doing, like I only got 2 things done today? Like they had me working on the same thing like over and over again. Like when I did the first one, they didn't like it, so I had to go back and do the second one. So it took me all day just to do this one thing, but I had to do it over twice. So I said to her, I said, friend, remember when you told me that I was supposed to remind you if you start complaining about this new consulting gig that you asked for something with ease? She said, yeah. I said, friend, you did 2 fucking things today and getting paid well for it. 2 things you did today. I said, ain't that easeful? She said, yes. She said, yes, it is. She said, okay, moving on. No more complaints. Moving on. Y'all see the difference? We didn't sit and laminate over how boring it was. No, because this is what she asked for. She asked for ease, right? She asked for ease. And sometimes you just need people to remind you of what you asked for. You asked for ease, and ease showed up, right? You didn't ask for ease with a lot of fun. I said, you know, if you need to go back and you need to clarify that manifestation, you might want to ask for ease with fun. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? You ask for ease and you ask for fun. Okay? I attract empaths because I understand why I'm here. And my wonderful sensitive beings, I'm going to tell y'all right now, you're going to have to sharpen your perception. How you see a thing is how a thing is going to unfold. We are now in what they call the Quasi era. The Quasi era is the quantum era. And if you know anything about quantum physics states that the only thing that manifests to you is that in which you put your focus on. So my question to you is, what in hell or heaven are you focusing on? Because you're focusing in hell or heaven is going to appear in your reality. There's a science to this shit, y'all. There is a science to this, okay? Now, I'm going to need you to put on your big boy drawers and your big girl's underwears, and I'm going to need you to go ahead and let the little girl or the little boy know, okay, that they don't get to do temper tantrums no more, okay? The little girl or the little boy don't get to act out anymore. You don't have to protect the little boy or the little girl anymore. What you need to do is you need to love the little boy or the little girl in you. It ain't about protecting anymore. You're a full-ass grown human being now. Ain't nobody coming there to fuck with your little girl or little boy no more. Right? All of that shit is done. This is why we have replaying of programs that don't work for us anymore because of our wounded little girl or little boy, right? So the little girl or the little boy don't need protection anymore. What they need is love, because love is the transmutation energy that's going to get you to the place of where your perception can start being changed, where you don't have to be love bombed. You don't have to be manipulated. You don't have to be gaslit. And can I just say something right here? Okay. I just want to say something right here. A lot of us be fucking like gaslighting our own self. Okay, come on. What do you mean that we be gaslighting our own self? You be knowing that that person is full of shit and you still trying to pretend like they not? You be knowing that this person is manipulating you and you be pretending like they not? Making excuses for them? Oh, they just insecure. Oh, you know, they ain't really never had nobody there for them, Oh, I'm the only person in their life. When in the meantime, they don't have no problem worrying about putting themselves first. Self-love is not being selfish. Self-love is required so you can give love to other people. Okay, Kamoy, what do you mean by that? I'm finna explain to you what I mean by that. Okay. Scientifically and energetically, you cannot give or receive that in which you don't give yourself permission to have. Okay? And a lot of things that we've been calling love don't have nothing to do with love at all. A lot of things that we've been putting label of love on don't have anything to do with love at all. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love don't keep track of wrong or right. Love does not hurt. Love intentionally is there to help, support, heal. Right? So what's the opposite of all of those things? So how does that play out? Self-love plays out like this, y'all. If you know that you have scheduled something for yourself because you were overwhelmed and you were tired, and you get a phone call from somebody who you always jump for, you always jump for this person. You always say yes to this person, even when you don't feel like it, you make a way to make sure that this person's feel loved and they feel taken care of, right? But this person don't have no problem telling you, no, I don't want to, right? So as you would go out of your way to say yes, even when you mean no, right? Because your yeses are no's and your no's are yes, which means you're still out of fucking alignment with self-love, right? So your yeses are really no's because you love this person. So when they ask you to do something, even though you mean no, you still say yes, right? And then you get upset when the same is not done in return to you. Do you know that you're not operating in self-love? If internally your spirit is telling you to say no, but you override intuitively what that your spirit is telling you to do, you're not in alignment. You're not loving yourself. If you had an appointment set up for you to go ahead and maybe, let's say, go to a spa, maybe even work out. If you're a dude, maybe let's just say you have your appointment, you're gonna go work out, you're gonna go get it in, and then your homeboy calls, and your homeboy always got some fucked up problem. Like he just be doing shit. Like he just be dating those chicks that he shouldn't be dating, and then when they get rowdy and they start doing some dumb shit, he call you to step in and help him or come pick him up, or he need a place to crash or some shit, right? Right? And what do? You put your shit to the side and go get your homeboy, because this is what homeboys do, right? But your homeboy is in a loop. He's playing the same loop over and over again, right? So you go to get your homeboy. He into some crazy shit, with this chick. Your window get broken when really your ass already told. Your spirit already told your ass, go to the gym. This ain't, you don't need, your perception already preceded you to let you know that you were stepping into some bullshit, but you wasn't listening to your perception, right? You gaslit yourself to step yourself back into a looping situation with somebody that this shit ain't gonna pan out right anyway, because he always in some bullshit with some females. Why? Running from himself. All right, let's go on over to the female aspect of this. Get a phone call from your girlfriend. You got 7 loads of laundry to do because you haven't done laundry in 3 weeks, running up and down with these kids, doing everything for everybody else. Your girlfriend calls you. Girl, let's go out, let's go shopping, let's run Target, got a sale, da 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 da. Your ass know you got 6 loads of laundry to do. 7 loads of laundry. Clean the house. And on top of that, you started earlier, so half of your shit almost done. And once you're done, you will probably gonna sit, have you a glass of wine, sit and watch Netflix and actually see the sun go down, because you have not seen the sun go down while sitting on your ass and God knows how long, right? You really just need like a wine and Netflix, day. But you decide, because that's your girl, and she's been having a tough time, and you don't want her to feel down, I'm going to put my self-love day afternoon to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and right? And now she said that y'all going to be home by, let's say 5. Okay, I can still be home by 5 and I can still watch the sun go down and get my Netflix in. But this particular girlfriend will be in one store for 2, 3 hours. So 5 is now fucking 8 o'clock. Now you get home, you cranky with the husband, you cranky with the kids, and you mad at yourself because you have not practiced self-love. You have not practiced self-love. You said you just hanging up like the phone died? No, let me tell you how you handle that. See, there's ways to handle people like that without feeling like you are pushing them out, because it's called being honest with yourself, okay? So 2 things could happen. Because if you're an empath, energetically, before even answering the phone, Spirit is going to let you know, don't answer that phone. Don't answer the phone. So you won't know before you answer the phone if you should answer the phone, right? But if you love somebody, you can't do that forever, because maybe you've been not answering the phone for like 2 or 3 days now. So you haven't been answering the phone for 2 or 3 days, right? And some friends are okay with that because they know shit going on and life going on, right? But this particular friend, you don't got the grace, because they don't take that kindly, okay? Because now me not answering your call for 3 days is going to turn into me avoiding you and me to being too busy, all that other shit that people do when they're not doing their work, right? Okay, so you get the prompt not to answer the phone, and you don't listen, and you answer the phone, right? Because it's been 3 days, so clearly I cannot not answer the phone anymore. You know what you do? Hey, girl. Hey, guy. Hey, friend. I know I've been a little busy. I know I've been a little busy, but honestly, I want to be present because I know we have a lot to unpack. And right now, I only literally have 5 minutes, so we can either unpack for 5 minutes, so I can call you back on a day when I'm not so busy. Did you see how we just did that? Did you see how we just did that? So you're honoring yourself, but you're also letting your friend know that I love you, but I just can't deal with your shit right now, in a nice way. So that way, when you do circle back, you can have space for your friend, or you can share space with your friend, right? Because your perception is much better now. Now you can discern and have the room to have grace, have love, have empathy, give wonderful advice, and not be irritated and walk away from a conversation feeling drained because you have nothing left to give. When they talk about your cup runneth over, you're not supposed to pour the bottom crumbs of your cup out. Your cup running over, which means people get from your fucking overflow. Your cup running over means people get from your overflow. You cannot give somebody what they don't have to give. And you cannot hold somebody hostage for what they don't have to give, right? So a lot of us sometimes hold people hostage in relationships, right? Waiting for something that they don't have to give. I did that shit with my dad for years, y'all. One of my childhood wounds is self-worth, right? And I had to heal that shit. And literally within the past year and a half, I thought I healed so much of that stuff, y'all. It came back. I'm like, remember this part of the cabinet? Yeah, you dusted that off 2 years ago, but you haven't been back yet with your duster. So let me go ahead and show you that you left this book up here on the shelf, and you still need to take this down every once in a while and dust the dust off of it. Right? AKA the narcissistic relationship that I just got out of. I wasn't dusting. Right? Or I forgot a spot. Or I thought I got that spot. Like whatever my insecurities were, whatever my internal looping was. And for me, my internal looping was not being worthy. You see, but something happens when an empath has an interaction, or maybe even you have, and maybe not interaction. I'm going to put it this way. Something happens when you have an empath that has now activated a transmutation because of a narcissist. You see, because a narcissist will stick around and break you. Or toxic people want to see you fall. They want to see you not be successful, right? But when an empath fucks around and figures out who they are, when you mess around and figure out that you are the light, you are the dark, you are the beauty that you seek outside of yourself. When you fuck around and really find out who you are, and you own your light, and you no longer seek outside of yourself for validation, right? You do self-validation. Because I'm going to tell you something about truth. when you embrace the truth about yourself, whether it's truth of, the what you may call the flawed part of you, right? And just remember, any parts of you that you feel is imperfect is where you find your perfection. That's universal law, because those are the fragmented parts of you, right? So when you go into the fragmented parts of you, you can make those parts of you whole by transmutation. Okay. Transmutation. So you're holding people hostage for things that they do not have to give to you. I had my dad hostage for years of not being able to give me the type of love that I felt a father should be able to give me. Right? Until I realized right before my dad passed, I got to spend the last, I want to say 5 years with my dad before he passed. And, and if you're not new to the channel, if you're day one, you know the story because I've talked about that over the years, right? And you know what I found out for the last 5 years of my dad's life? My dad got his heart broken at 19 and decided at 19 that he was never going to love another woman again. I'm going to say that again. My dad at 19 got his heart broken because a woman cheated on him. And he decided that he was never going to love another woman again. He was never going to trust another woman again. He was never going to give his heart to another woman again. And that is a loop that my dad played from the age of 19 up until he passed away at about 67, 68 years old. And my dad died alone. He had a wife and she left him to die by himself because of a loop he replayed from the age of 19. So here it is. I'm holding my dad hostage, right? For not giving me the love that I think a dad should be giving to a daughter. And there was all types of moments that gave me loops of insecurity and all of that shit, right? All of that shit. Then I realized at 40, as the child that didn't feel loved by their dad. I'm the child who was there for dad because dad is dying now, and I'm the sibling that's in Georgia with him, and I'm the one that's in the house with him, right? And it was the most beautiful experience because I got to heal all of my childhood wounds, and I got to see the man that I held hostage, right, for more than half of my life for not being able to love me the way I felt a fucking father should, was because he didn't fucking have it to give. He decided at 19 that he was never going to love another woman. So how could this man that decided at 19 years old that he was never going to love another woman, how could he love his daughter because I was going to eventually be a woman? So how could he love me? How could he love me? He couldn't love me. By not being able to love another woman, he denied that feminine aspect of himself. So how could he give me something that he wasn't able to give to himself? See, and we don't know that we are affected by all of this stuff, right? We don't really know that all of this stuff affects us, right? So that childhood trauma turned into me, just like my dad at 19 got his heart broken because of what I went through in my childhood and not feeling loved by my dad. I then created my own internal loop, which I told myself over and over again for years that if my own father didn't love me, what man would? Now, come on, what do you mean by that? Oh, girl. Family, do y'all know what that do to you when you put a loop to replay in your mind like that your own daddy don't love you, what man would? That means, let me break that down for y'all how that look like, okay? Because we having real talk and real conversations here, right? Because self-mastery comes from you being honest with yourself and brutal honesty. And I'm going to tell you something about spirit too, okay? Spirit is going to call you out on your shit. God, source, the higher one, the divine, it's going to call you out on yourself. It's going to let you know when you're being a hypocrite. It's never going to tell you you ain't shit. It's just going to let you know you're being hypocritical and you can act in love, or you're being hypocritical and judgmental because you just did that last week when you did XYZ. It's going to show you you. It's going to show you you, right? So I created this loop in my mind, right? Perception, because we're talking about perception here. Okay, we're talking about perception, and I'm showing you how these things can play out in your life experience. Can y'all do me a favor and go ahead and put a thumbs up on the video, please? I know I'm like an hour in, y'all. I'll be forgetting. If it resonates, just go ahead, y'all. I am here to help you to remember, okay? I placed that loop in my head that if my own dad don't love me, what man would? That then created a cycle of me having to go through relationships where men had to prove to me that they didn't love me, right? So I'm sending out this frequency of subconsciously, right? Well, my daddy didn't love me, so no man really could, right? Right? So that's a subliminal frequency that I don't even know is playing in the background. I don't even know that shit is playing in the background, y'all. Not until I start to do my shadow work, right? So I don't even know that's playing in the background. Okay, so let me show you how that plays out. So for, my first husband, which was, that was the only time I was married, right? He had to validate that I was in love. So there was a cheating and there was a, just a whole toxic situation there, right? Because he had to validate that. Okay. Now, prior to my husband, I dated someone for 8 years, and he had to validate that too, because after 6 years of dating, right, he told me 6 years was not enough time for you to really get to know someone if you wanted to marry them. But how could he not? Remember? Because I'm looping. I am looping, y'all. I am looping with my perception of I am not worthy of love. Right? I'm not worthy of love. So here it is, right? First relationship, 8 years before the marriage. Okay? Validating that loop. Second relationship into the marriage, married for a really long time. Oh, and that's a whole nother story, y'all, because I was divorced for 5 years and didn't even know I got divorced. Whole nother story, y'all. Whole nother story. So I'm saying these things to let y'all know it ain't nothing that you can go through and don't come back from if you walking in your truth and you starting to love yourself and you starting to heal. Okay? Got married. Husband had to validate the same loop, right? I'm not worthy of love. Right? My husband had to validate that loop. He had to validate that loop. So I want to say coming towards, maybe halfway through the marriage now, I go on my spiritual quest. I'm learning all of this shit. Oh, shit. I'm noticing that I don't want to be loved. So I caught that loop, right? Caught that loop. I did not know that was not the only loop that was being played, y'all, right? Because I caught that loop. And once I caught that loop and I shifted it and I started to love myself, then the marriage had to dissolve because he could no longer validate that I didn't need it to be loved, that I wasn't worthy of love, right? Because I found that loop, I caught it and I changed it, my marriage fell apart because he wasn't validating the truth no more. But remember I talked about that bookshelf and how you got to go back and you got to dust some shit off, right? Okay, here comes the next relationship, y'all, right? The next relationship, you cool, I don't mind loving you, but I don't really, like I just got out of something serious. We could be friends. I want to harem. I want to date multiple women. Here's my test. The test is this, right? Are you going to accept somebody that wants you to be in a poly relationship when, I don't even think they were calling it poly then because he referred to it as a harem. So I don't even think poly was the thing back then, okay? I am showing you how these things can show up in your fucking relationships with the same energy archetype, just different faces. And this is my experience, just from what loop I was replaying, right, in my mind from an incident that happened to me in my childhood, and how my dad was replaying his loop from what happened to him at 19 up until the day he hit on his deathbed, to the point where his wife had to reinforce to him that he was not worthy of love or that he was never going to trust another woman. So she left him on his deathbed for 3 months. Didn't show up until he got his final notice that he was dying. Okay? I say all of this to say to you, my loves, there is nothing that you seek outside of you that you first cannot find within yourself. Okay? We got the looping energy. The looping energy here is be mindful not to have stagnant energy. When people literally tell you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Believe them. Okay? All right. Where is this energy showing up? Where is this energy unfolding? I can't make this shit up. Pride and ego, vanity. Okay? Self-worth. Growth. Didn't I just talk about all of this? Didn't I just talk about all of this? This is showing up that people that don't really see the true you, right? The question, but do you really see the true you? Do you really embrace you the way that other people see you? Do you really embrace that you are the kind of person that is there for the people that you love? Do you really embrace that you are the kind of person that, you support people's dreams? You don't break their dreams down first, right? So you're not the friend that they're going to call and tell all of their dreams, and you're going to say, well, I don't really know about that. You sure you want to do that? Because I tried that, but it didn't work. But if you want to do that, you can go ahead. You're not the person, right, that demands all of the attention. You're able to save space for the people that you love. More than likely, you're an empath, okay? And more than likely, that sensitivity that you feel as an empath would have been because you were able to teach yourself the sensitive, subtle energy shift in people's emotions when you were a child, because it could have been relationships as siblings where you had to protect your sibling because it was an abusive relationship, or just you were just a person in the family that, stood in the gap for the people that you felt were being bullied or taken advantage of. So the sensitivity that you have where you're able to pick up on people's things and read things didn't come without you having to take some hits. It didn't come without you having to go through some shit. Where's your perception of your self-worth? Where's the perception of the growth that needs to come in? Where's the perception and how you really see yourself? How does that look? Where's the perception and how you really see the people that are there for you? Where's the perception and how you really see the people that are not there for you, that pretend like they're there for you? Where's the perception and the people that you may be overextending yourself for? Where's the perception of the people that maybe you need to, extend yourself a little bit more for because, you're not dealing with your own pride and ego? Where's the people that you may need to save grace and forgive because you yourself may need grace and forgiveness because of your own self-worth and insecurities, and maybe having expectations for people that they can't fill? You're basing your self-worth and your expectations on someone else's perception of who you are, when they can't see the inner parts of you that may feel broken and shameful and guilty for whatever the fuck mistakes you've made in the past or said in the past or done in the past. There's nobody walking around this face of the earth that has not done something to make a mistake, to hurt someone. The question is, what intention did you set out? Did you intentionally hurt someone? You hurt someone, but did you hurt them because you were reacting and they came after you? Like, all of that shit matters. All of that matters. All of that matters. This has been coming out for the past 3 or 4 days now. Okay, this is how you're supposed to move within this energy, right? So how are you supposed to move with this egotistic energy? How are you supposed to move in this energy where you're expecting more from people than they're giving out, when you really shouldn't be expecting anything from anybody but yourself, right? This card represents feminine energy. This is the womb energy. This is creative energy. This is intuitive energy. This is emotional energy. Are you listening to yourself? Are you listening to your emotions? Your emotions are indicators to let you know where you are. So when you feel angry, when you feel anxious, when you feel annoyed, when you feel joyful, when you feel sad, when you feel blissful, those are indicators. You're not supposed to be stuck in any one emotion. Everything is energy. Where have you been sticking your creative energy, your intuitive energy? What? And this card has been coming out too. A lot, maybe for the past 4 days. What toxicity, what patterns, what has you bounded to relationship, to commitments, to partnerships? That's fucking with your self-worth. That's stagnant in your growth, your inner growth, your internal growth. Can I just tell you something, Cheryl? There's this whole thing going on the internet that there's a conditioning that's going on the internet that there's how they say there's more men to women, and there's and there's a whole new movement of poly. And I say, do you? I think love is love. You love who you love. But what I do is I study energy and I study patterns, right? So my question would be, Cheryl, is when you totally ignore him when he told you he had a girlfriend, right? Why was that ignored? Why did you ignore that? This is what I tell men all the time, and I tell my sons this too. I tell my sons all the time, listen, when you're dealing with a woman, you need to understand that women, like, if you were truthful to a woman and she feels like you're not taking away her choice making decisions, if she likes you and you tell her that you're dealing with multiple people and she likes you, she will probably going to go ahead and entertain it until she can't entertain it no more if she hasn't done her work, right? If she's still seeking, right? Now, my question, you didn't get upset? Okay. I did, okay. Yeah. You know, um, so I'm just gonna share this with you, okay? So there was a situation recently with someone, and this person, they were in let's just say they were in a relationship where it was very similar to that show, right? Where they were told what the deal was before they got into the relationship. And I think they were okay with this person having a person, okay? And everybody involved knew that there was multiple people, dating the same person. So everybody was okay with that. I don't think that was a fight with everybody. Everybody was okay, right? Everybody knew their role, everybody knew their position, and everybody knew where they played, okay? So as I'm speaking to this person, and everything just fell apart. It all went to shit. There was some lies. Everything just went to shit, I'm not going to go into how it all fell apart because that's not important. What's important is I asked this question to them. I said, I have a question for you. I said, now, we've had this conversation before where I just explained to you energetically, this is not a situation that you would want to put yourself in if you love somebody and you see a situation or a future with somebody, right? There's just certain things you don't do if you're thinking long term with people, okay? So there's just certain boundaries that you got to put in place. I said, but I also understand that you're okay with letting things flow and how they evolve. I said, so my question to you is, with the information that was given to you where everybody was aware that everybody was dating, the same person, you went into this thinking that you would be safe, and because you knew that you weren't going to get attached, didn't you? You thought you were safe because you were still going to do your thing and they were going to do their thing. And they said to me, yes. They never made room or made space for the fact that their heart may get involved, right? And that their heart could possibly be broken by the situation because they thought, okay, everybody's aware, right? We all aware, right? We're all grown. They went into this situationship knowing, right, that they were going to be safe, right, because of what they knew. They knew not to get their heart attached. And the more that they spent with this person and the more that you're intimate with this person, right, so you're not just exchanging energetic flows, but now you're also exchanging chemical flows, right, and what we don't realize as women, it only takes women one time to have intercourse with a man before she can become chemically bonded to him, and we may call that love. It takes a man at least 5 times to be chemically bonded to you. There's science to this shit, okay? So here it is. You're now chemically and emotionally bonded to somebody, but you don't understand why your life 6 months ago was prospering and it's beautiful, but now 6 months later, because you've now chemically bonded yourself to somebody and energetically bonded and emotionally bonded and mentally bonded yourself to somebody, you're going through a whole bunch of toxic shit and a bunch of toxic situations. Okay? So it's not about being able to explore and play the field and, this is what you got to pay attention to. This right here, right? This part right here. There you go. You said you're not a chemical romance. I'm telling you, right? Because you get up in there, especially if, listen, I'm a Scorpio, y'all. Listen, I'm just saying I'm a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio, so I speak not just with my words and my intensity, but like sex and love making is a whole art, and that's like a whole nother level of fucking communication. So yeah, okay. But I had to understand that I cannot do casual sex, y'all. I cannot. I cannot. Okay. And I'm from New York, y'all. So I'm from New York. You get on the train and the brothers got the sweatpants on. And, I'm a Scorpio and I'm sitting down and you got a sweatpants on. You know where my eyes is going first, y'all? Do you know where the eyes go when the brothers got their sweatpants on? Okay. I'm just going to let you know, Kelley has gotten plenty of conversations about me getting off the trains and the sweatpants views. Okay. They know they want to be wearing them sweatpants, y'all. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm just saying. All right. Just saying. But I had to understand, y'all, that it's not just about having sex. So it's not about making babies, right? Sex. Okay. Just so you know. Reduces or can also be known as 6. The number 6. Sex, the number 6. Okay? And the number 6 represents the power to create or the power to destroy. That's your willpower. That's your determination. Right? So when you are having sex with someone, okay, you are not just creating babies, you're also tapping into an energetic field where you can create toxicity, you can create bonds, and you can create patterns that does not, hey baby, that does not resonate with what you want unfolded in your life. Hey baby. My kids just got home, y'all. Okay. You're not just making babies. Okay, so let me show you how this can pop off. Okay, because a lot of you don't understand that this is like energetics here. Okay, and it's science here. Okay, so I'm gonna break this down a few ways. Okay, so let's start. Let's say with the poly situation. Okay. Now, I think of things on an energetic basis. I think poly relationships can work, but poly relationships can only work on an energetic level, which means that you cannot have a poly relationship that's going to be successful unless all parties are mature. And I'm talking about mental maturity, emotional maturity, as well as spiritual maturity. Okay? Everybody got to be whole. Okay? Hey, Miss T. Okay? So you need all of those. Okay? So it cannot just be about sex and, everybody getting, when in order for you to have a lasting poly relationship, people has to be spiritually, emotionally, and mentally matured. Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question. Y'all think a lot of people in the world is really doing that? Y'all think like a lot of people that's in certain situations is on those levels? Okay? Let's think about this, right? Because we're going now, right? So energetically, right? Now I'm telling you how things work energetically. Energetically, from an energetic perspective, the male will be considered the positive charge, the electrical charge, the spark, right? The female will be considered the womb, the negative charge. This is a space where everything is created, okay? Now, so you got one feminine aspect, you got one masculine aspect. That's 2 people. That's not poly yet, right? So you introduce the poly, the third person in this relationship, right? The third person that's introduced into the relationship is going to be the grounding foundation, okay? Hear me out on this, people. This is important. If you are entering a poly situation and you are not the main person, you are the added one. You are now the grounding person in the relationship, which means that you are now the deflection for all of the inner trial, trauma, and work that those other 2 people then do. You are the energetic dumping field. Okay. So I'm not saying not to do the poly thing. I'm just saying be mindful of what role you play energetically. So if let's say you're not the third one in, right? Let's say you're not the third one in. Let's say you're the female that's connected to the male in the relationship, right? Let's say, let's say that. Let's say that, okay? So let's say you're the first female in the relationship and you're open to bringing in another female. Do you know that having the other female in a relationship is then going to open up stuff about your childhood wounds that you have not healed, right? So it's going to be things like, and I'm telling you, I have clients that go through this shit. And these are conversations that I have with my clients, right? Real talk in real time, okay? So was there an issue maybe when he may have touched you a little bit more intimately than he did her? Was there an issue because maybe the stroke that he gave you was more, sensual than it was her? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. We had to sit and unpack that, because there was some feelings behind that. Okay? So please understand, you don't get away in any relationship without doing your works, my love, okay? So if you are entertaining a poly relationship, there ain't nothing wrong with that. You're just going to have to understand what role you play and what energetic pattern you there to fill. All right? So let's say from the man's perspective now, okay? Because I'm going to give you some science here, okay? So we done talked about the women's perspective, how that can play out on different levels for the women's energy, okay? Let's go into the man's energy. So you are the male energy in the relationship with the two females, okay? You're the male energy in this relationship, right? But your male energy is saying, okay, yeah, we in this poly thing, but the both of you can't have no other men. It's just me. Y'all can't have no other men. It's just me. That's it. If we're going to do this, I'm going to be the only man. I'm going to show you how that's not going to work either, right? Because this is how it's not going to work, y'all. You need a positive charge and a negative charge to create. So you need a man and you need a woman, or you need feminine energy and masculine energy, right? Even if you date in same sex, right? Somebody in the relationship has to be the masculine energy, okay? So it don't matter if it's a poly with the three of the same sex. It don't matter. We're talking about archetypes and energy here, okay? So you're the man, but the dominant thing is, okay, I'm the man in a relationship, but y'all can't have no other men. I'm the only one. You know why that can't work too? I'm going to show you how that can't work. Unless all of y'all are spiritually, emotionally, and mentally matured. Okay. That's also not going to work, because what if you're able to fill her emotional needs over here? So what if you're filling the grounding energy, or the third person that you're bringing in, she gets more emotionally felt and feel more love than your main chick does, right? Right? Or what if the third party girlfriend wants to spend time with you, but there's rules and boundaries where she can't see you by yourself because, the main girlfriend or the wife got to be there. Do you see how many gaps that can leave in there? But what does that do to you as a third party? Does that make you feel safe, loved, secure, supported? Or does that play into your insecurities, your mistrust, not worthiness? You see what I'm saying here? So even if we talk about the divine marriage and divine love, and even if we go into Kama Sutra, let's tap into Kama Sutra, a sexual magic. Let's go there, right? Because a lot of you be intertwined with sexual magic and you don't even know that. Like when he be saying, whose pussy is this? I'm the only nigga you love. This is my pussy. I'm the only man. Or, she's saying things to you, I'm the only bitch you love, ain't nobody like this pussy. Whose pussy is it? All of that shit. And you over there saying, yes, baby, yes. Oh, yes, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Do you know what you're co-signing to? Especially if you know this person is dating multiple people. You are co-signing energetically to be in a relationship, not just energetically with him, but with everybody else that he's exchanging energy with. Especially if it's sexual energy, right? So you used to be this happy-go-lucky person that's so positive, and all of a sudden you don't even understand why you're just mad at everything all the time. You start to take on characteristics that's not even your shit. These characteristics are not even your shit. You used to be confident in the type of woman that you are. All of a sudden you're feeling a little bit insecure, not feeling like yourself, right? You're not understanding that sex does not create babies, y'all. It creates entities, energetic archetypes and patterns that you got to navigate through. So you co-signing because the stroking and the loving is good. You co-signing because it's dripping wet. You co-signing to all of these things. Just saying yes to all of these things. And you do not understand that you are birthing things. You don't understand you're birthing things. Yeah, you don't have to be a sacrificial lamb. You sure don't. Can I tell you something? Because I know you said women got to be a little gay for that to work. I'm just going to say, like, if I had to co-sign for a poly, it would probably be selfish because I wouldn't want a woman. I would want another man. But then I don't want both of y'all together, because then because that's not going to be okay too. But I would want to be able to date another man. So I see that's not going to work for me either because you're not going to be able to date women. Like if we have to bring somebody in, right? It's going to have to be another man, but there's going to be restrictions because I can't be in the bed with two men. So I'm going to need to be able to go see this one, to get my needs, whether it's an intellectual need, whatever boundaries we set up. I don't want to have the both of y'all together, right? So that's probably not going to work for us because you more than likely are going to want another woman. Hold on, y'all. I got to meet y'all. I got to cough. Thank you, y'all. Whew. I'm working through these sinuses. Oh. So for me, I know that's not going to work. Because I'm going to tell y'all right now. I told y'all, I'm not your guru. And I'm not Jesus, I'm Kamoy. I be stepping in my Christ-like energy, but I am not Jesus, I am Kamoy. I operate in some very architectural fixed energy, Scorpio is one of the energies that I operate in because that's my sun sign. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I don't like to share dick. So it cannot be three of us in the bedroom. Because the minute I see you stroke a little bit too better, or a little bit, no. I don't want to see my man kissing on nobody. Okay? I don't want to see my man soft stroking on nobody. I don't want to see none of that. I'm me, just me. That's all I want is me, okay? Now, no judgment. I'm just saying that's not going to work for me. No judgment. I'm just saying that's not going to work for me personally, okay? That is not going to work for me. Because the minute I see you touch a hair or a face, are you fucking kidding me? The minute I see you do a stroke and a touch of the face or hair and look into the eyes, oh, y'all, it's over with. It's over with. So this is why I can't do a harem type, poly type situation. No, that's not gonna work for me. I have not elevated to that level yet. And then I also understand that there is such a thing as a divine union. And divine union, and even when you operate it within tantric, sex still has to be between two people. I'm just saying. Even when we go into tantric sex and divine union, that's still two energies. It's still the same energy pattern that we talk about, masculine and feminine. You still gotta have those two energies. So ain't no way in hell. And I'm being honest and transparent, y'all. I'm Kamoy, my own guru over here. And this guru, okay, because I'm still doing my work, okay? Still doing my work. I cannot see you long stroke, slow stroke, touch her face, flick her hair to the side, look into her eye, and still be dripping wet. No, I cannot. I cannot. No, I cannot. Nor will I not. I'm selfish because there's many layers to me. And you can't get to all of my layers if you focus on somebody else, No, yeah. Okay. I'm just saying. So that don't work for me. Those of you that have matured past that, yeah. Now, have I dated somebody that was dating other people? Yes, I have. So it would be a lie to say that I haven't, right? And that's when I was going through my phase, newly divorced, not looking for anything serious. I was going through that phase. Yes, I was. So for me, it didn't matter, or I thought it didn't matter because I was doing my own thing. But remember what I told you what happens. We give out chemicals where you think you're in love, but you're not, right? But I was also on my phase of paying attention to what he said. So I played until it was no longer fun. So when it was no longer fun, I stopped playing, you know. And that's after that I found out that there's no such thing as casual sex. I'm just saying. Don't like Sharon. I struggle with having one man. That's why I know nothing else can work. I'm just saying, Miss T. Miss T, I'm just saying. And it's really no judgment. I just know me. I just know me. Okay? I got a girlfriend that says, well, I'm just going to say, like I am a one-man woman. She said, but I can't tell you if I go on vacation and there's some liquor involved and I don't know them, I can't say it's not going to go down, So I do have a friend that says, like, she can move that way while she's on vacation. And I just, like, I'm going to tell y'all, here's a trigger warning for y'all, okay? So please, if you're trigger warning, I'm just going to say this right now. I'm about to say something that could be trigger warning, right? I have been molested when I was younger. So casual sex for me is also off of the table because I cannot go into any situation thinking that this is just about sex. There got to be a connection. There got to be some type of connection, right? So even going out and like having a fling on a vacation for me still is going to feel off to me because of my own personal experiences. You understand what I'm saying? So I need to know that you are into me before I can put that wall down. And baby, when that wall come down, oh no, we can't have nobody else. I'm enough. Okay? Okay, so Shella said me too. Oh, see? So I used to swing. I know exactly. Okay, so come on now, Shell, right? The strokes and the touching and the eye looking. No, yeah, I can't do it. I'm a Scorpio. Y'all know that archetype. We already possessive, and we sensual too. So especially if you're giving a little bit more sensuality to. No, y'all, that's not going to end well. I might be the chick to walk over there and pull your dick out of her. So that's not going to wind up nice for anybody. So I'm not even going to play like that's something I'm going to experiment with because I'm not. No. Ain't nobody going to enjoy that experience. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. Ain't nobody enjoying that experience, okay? Now, this card represents the ethers, okay? Come on, so no stargazing, okay? But I have asked clients and people that have, that have this lifestyle, like if that doesn't bother them. And honestly, all of them that I have spoken to, they were like, yeah, that's actually a thing. And if you really care about the person and you're willing to make the relationship work, that's one of the things you have to work through, is what I was told. Okay? See? Okay, so can I tell you something? Shirley, can I tell you something, Shirley? Let me tell you something, right? Okay, so I just had this conversation with Kelley the other day, right? Because Kelley the other day, we were having a conversation. I don't remember if it was a show or what we were talking about, okay? But the energy of this person was very hoic, or hoary, or ho, or she for the streets, or 3 or 4, And if you know 3 or 4, you know what that means, okay? Right? So that was the energy, okay? One of the things that I said to her, I said, well, let me say this to you. I said, this is why you're not supposed to judge. I said, do you know in ancient time there was women that was considered sacred whores? Do y'all know that? Do y'all know that? There was such a thing as women called sacred whores. And they had a purpose. I said, so even though we may not in modern time recognize women as sacred whores, a lot of these women that dance in strip clubs, right, that have to have multiple men, right, there's an energy that they resonate with, and it's actually a healing energy. It's meant to be a healing energy. It's not meant to be a destructive energy. But a lot of this energy is distorted because we were not taught the truth about who we are. Okay, a lot of this energy is distorted. So a lot of time when you find women that are very promiscuous or free in who they are coming from something sacred, okay? Because it's all energy, it's energy. And remember, sexual energy is creative energy. It don't just create babies, okay? This is why you don't judge, because some people just here in this dimension to experience dancing in the pole. Some people here to experience poly relationships. Some people experience, to experience same-sex relationships. The universe don't care if you have a same-sex relationship. What the universe value is how you fucking treat people. how you treat yourself. Okay? I might probably have to do another video to show you how that whole shit about Sodom and Gomorrah and killing gay people, that's bullshit. Okay? I tell y'all, I'm awake now. I can show y'all that in the scriptures too. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Y'all be saying that Jesus said a whole bunch of things that, and these sages said a whole bunch of things that they didn't say. Everybody's here to experience life the way they want to. You're not here to judge nothing. You're here to experience. It's like going to a buffet. If you go to a buffet and you don't like mushrooms, okay, you go to a buffet, there's mushrooms, all types of different type of mushrooms, and you try the mushroom, and for whatever reason you don't like it, it's a texture thing, maybe it's too salty, maybe you didn't like the cheese on it, right? And you go back up to get a second plate. Why would you put mushrooms on your plate if you tried it and you didn't like it? Or why would you try garlic or shrimps if you're allergic? That makes no sense. This is not about walking around and judging anybody. This is about walking around and figuring out and remembering who you are. And your sexual preference or how you identify don't have anything to do with that. What they're trying to do is distort the energy so you don't understand the connection between the fucking energy, right? So when they're pitting you against one another, they're not telling you that even in a gay relationship, there's going to be a dominant energy of masculine energy and a dominant energy of feminine energy. And what you're working with is energetic archetypes, not a fucking human being. Okay. A lot of things have been perverted and distorted. But it's truth time, okay? It's truth time. Stop fucking judging yourself, and then you would see that there's no need to judge other people, and therefore the world and the experience you have are going to bounce back to you with less judgment. If you want to have a poly relationship, go for it. Just understand the role that you play in it. Understand that poly relationships are going to trigger internal work. They're going to trigger emotional work. They're going to trigger mental work. They're going to trigger you having to face yourself and your insecurities. They're going to trigger you having to deal with your enemies, or what you may call enemies. Okay. The cards from the ether, the cards from the spirit is saying, pay attention to your choices. All of this is alchemical. You're the fucking alchemist here. Your job is to transmute energy. And in this quasi era that we're in, guess what, my loves? Guess what? In this quasi era, it's all about energy. You're going to have to learn how to read energy, how to transmute energy, how to navigate energy. Because whoever controls you energetically is going to control your emotions. They're going to control your thoughts, which is going to produce the action in which you move forth and which is going to produce your reality or your outcome. There should be nobody in this season, in this era, whether you call it the golden age, the quasi era, the new age, the new earth, it don't fucking matter. If there is somebody else's opinion outside of you that is more valuable to you than your fucking opinion of yourself, you got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. God don't care how much mistakes you made. Okay. Any of your books that you go back into where we're talking about spirituality, they're finding the path, what do they tell you? They know you're going to fuck up. They know you're going to do some dumb shit. A lot of my foundation is biblical because I grew up in the church until I started to ask questions, right? And one of the things they tell you or they teach you in the church is God said, I knew you before you were formed in your mama's womb. So if you knew me before I was formed in my mama's womb, then you know I was probably going to choose to, maybe like women, maybe have poly relationships, maybe have some kids out of wedlock, maybe suck a lot of dick, maybe, smash a lot of pussy, maybe rob somebody, maybe deck somebody in the face, maybe lie over here to my mama, come on now, y'all. Come on. When you begin to see yourself for who you truly are, it gives you the space to see people for who they are. This is why bullshit can recognize bullshit. This is why truth needs no external validation, because it is going to bring you external verification. Truth don't need to be externally validated. Truth recognize truth. Bullshit recognize bullshit. Cheryl says, I'm learning that they're exactly who they say they are and they can't handle it. This is a test for me right here, right now. Yep. Hey, Star Kid. On a bed, just sleeping. Oh, you know what? Star Kid, I'm not sure what that comment means, or if you're applying to somebody else. Hey, everybody. Okay, Star Kid, I don't know if you commented to something I said earlier, but please excuse me if I missed. I was not able to catch what you're saying. You cannot bullshit a bullshitter. No, you cannot. You cannot. And an empath knows too. And an empath knows. If you're an empath, you know. You know how I tell you guys that you're responsible not just for your zodiac sign, but you're responsible for mastering all 12 of the energy archetype wheels, okay? Let me show you what sign you can tap into to see past bullshit, right? When you're operating with the Scorpion energy, right, and you're tapping in using that energy, usually, I'm telling you right now how Scorpions, how we move. We clearly see that you on some bullshit, and we will let you think that we don't see your bullshit, and we will let you keep going, let you keep going, let you keep going, let you keep going, and then one day you're gonna look up and we are no longer there. And it's not like you wouldn't have, you would have missed us because we would have asked questions, you know. And then when we go on, you're gonna circle back. Well, they did ask this question. Well, they did say this. Get into a place where you can tell what people are saying even when they don't use words. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I was asking about the 6 people earlier. I was curious and nosy to it. Okay. Are we talking about people with 6s in their number? Are we talking about 6s in reference to sex? Okay. So, just so you know, Star Kid. Okay, so let's say, Star Kid, that you have encountered what we call a sacred whore energy. Okay, I'm gonna break this down to you how this can play out. Okay, Star Kid. Let's say that you've encountered somebody that operates in the sacred whore energy, right? I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna sidetrack and then I'm gonna pivot back. Okay, remind me, guys. I'm talking about if you encountered energy of someone with sacred whore energy. Okay, when you've encountered someone with sacred whore energy, you could be dating someone, let's say for 7 years, right? And in 7 years, you're dating this person and nothing is popping off. Nothing is blossoming. Nothing is blooming. You guys planned on having kids and nothing seems working. It just seems here. It just seemed toxic. It just seemed toxic, right? It just seemed toxic. Then you meet a sacred divine whore, okay? This can come across with a lady maybe that has had a lot of sexual partners, you know. This can be somebody that's dancing in the pole to pay their tuition, okay. This is going to be somebody that's free with their sexuality, okay. All right. This can also be somebody that's wounded because they were molested at a young age, and now I'm gonna get you before you get me. Okay. Let's just, because there's levels to this. Okay. But let's say you encountered a sacred whore. Okay. And they embrace their sensuality, they embrace their sexuality, okay? They understand it's an energy exchange and they open for it, right? And it's no string attached, like it's positive energy to this person, okay? They got positive vibe, all right? They understand, okay? Now, do you know you could have just broke up with the person that you were with for 7 years when nothing is growing, have an encounter with a sacred whore, touch and agree while y'all are being intimate, or even in conversations, because you know sex has nothing just to do with physical intimacy. Sex is an energy exchange, right? So not only did you connect with the sacred whore sexually, but you also connected mentally, where you may have shared some dreams. Okay, let's say y'all had a conversation and you shared some dreams, had a glass of wine, smoked a joint, you know, hung out for the weekend or whatever the case may be. You shared some dreams. She positive. She, you know, poured into you and, you know, inspired you, and then you slept with her. Do you know that one encounter with that sacred whore can have and help manifest all your dreams quicker than that person's energy that you were with for the past 7 years? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? And I'm sure that Cheryl could tell you, you know, with the swinging thing. Cheryl, Cheryl, okay, if you're an empath, Cheryl, did you notice at some points, even in that, journey, in that sacred energy, right? Did you notice at any point that you can pick up on other people's energy? Did you notice anything slightly change within your energetic field? Maybe if it was, let's say, you swang with the same person more than once. Hey, Rachel, how are you, my love? Okay, see, Cheryl is telling you. And Cheryl, I'm gonna tell you something right now. You're a tantric sex master, so you may need to look into tantric sex. Okay. You may need to study tantric sex, because sex is sacred to you. You may not just know how sacred and connected it is. It's not something you should run from or hide from or shy away from. All right? See? Didn't I say? Study tantric sex. Shirley, I'm sorry. Okay? Ah, see, that's what I was just talking about. That sex magic. Remember, I talked about how you be co-signing to things. Okay. Now that story I just gave you about a man being in a relationship for so long, for 7 years, and then breaking up and meeting somebody, even if it wasn't a committed relationship, but vibe with that person for a weekend, share their dreams. That person poured into them, and then they had intercourse and walk away, and all his fucking dreams in the space of a year unfolds. This is real shit. There's science behind this shit, y'all. Okay. So just know, when you having sex with somebody, you are just not exchanging body fluids. You're exchanging energy. Oh, Veronica. Now, okay. See, can I just say, I don't know if you meditate, Shirley, but Shirley, if you meditate, you need to tap into your Veronica energy, because Veronica will give you some information. I ain't playing. Okay, I'm not playing. I am not playing. All right. Go sit with Veronica and yep. Oh yeah. Cheryl over here saying it ain't no judgment. It's no judgment over here. What we do over here on this platform is we are remembering who we are. We are falling in love with ourselves, and we're not making apologies for anything that we've done. We needed to do all of those things to get to where we are right now. So nothing is wasted on your spiritual journey. Okay? Oh, you're Maria or Jane? I just reversed my name backwards. So, my name is Kamoy. So I become Yomeek, because that's my name backwards, Yomeek. Yomeek. I'm Yomeek, And I'm telling you, because there's a whole nother level of connection where you don't even need penetration, You don't even need, do you know what you can do to somebody's energetic field, and even to somebody's sensuality with just touch? Okay. See, you see, Shirley, now you starting some stuff, because I know about the initials and spelling your names and shit, okay? I know about them initials and spelling your names. The question is, where was you using your initials? And how was you spelling Shirley Jane? I'm just saying. Okay, Star Kid is saying, I totally get what you're saying. I knew some people that was free in that way, but it changed me and opened me up, just being around them. I pulled my energy back because they like to chase. Yeah, you don't got to chase nobody. That's not you. Okay, did y'all see what Shirley just said? Did y'all see what Shirley just said? Shirley, I'm telling you, you need to go study tantric sex. Energetically, I'm picking up you a master in another lifetime. And once you get that book open, I'm telling you right now, you may even find shit in there that you was doing that you didn't even know that was part of the tantric stuff. Okay? Yeah. Femininity don't have to chase. Your feminine energy does not have to chase. And this has nothing to do with you being a man or a woman. Your feminine side is your emotional side. And when that is healed and whole, you make no apologies for how you show up. Because you show up as you authentically are. Okay? You show up as you authentically are. Now, Shirley, what I will say is because you're an empath and you seem to do healing this way, right? You may just want to be more mindful now in who you help heal this way. Okay? Just be more mindful now who you help heal this way, okay? Because as a tantric master, baby, not everybody gets access to that part of you, baby, okay? Not everybody gets to taste and drink from the well of the ancient one. I'm just saying. Right? I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. Now, can I just tell y'all, like, I'm owning this shit because Shorty, let me tell you, it took me a minute to get here because remember, like I said, being molested, that is a part of me that I felt was snatched. So I had to reclaim my femininity, okay? I had to reclaim my femininity because when I first got married in my 20s, right, depending on how my husband approached me, I would feel like, oh my God, like this don't feel like, yeah. I would say I had episodes in the marriage before I started to heal this part of myself because I didn't make the connection until I got married, right? That being molested was a blocker to me being intimacy and connecting sexually because if I felt like it was not out of love or intimacy, I would feel like I was being used again. Like that's just, how your mind played with you, But I'm just saying. Me too. Shelly, why you hated your husband? That's some unpacking there. Okay. Because your husband would have reflected a version of yourself that you need to embrace, love, let go, heal. What was the biggest lesson that you learned in that relationship? Because if you don't learn the lesson, Shelly, you're going to have the same energy from a different person. Right? So hopefully you got it. Hopefully you got the lesson. Okay, say no more. Okay, say no more. Okay, yeah. Say no more. You know what I was talking about with somebody today? Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, we unpacking. We talk about real shit here. This is how we heal. You can't heal if you don't go unpack this stuff, right? And I've always been transparent with y'all to show y'all what I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, what I've overcome, right? So I was having a conversation with someone today, and we got into the same like avenue that we're going down now. And I was saying to her how, and he wouldn't listen to me. Yeah, see? And I was saying to her how people think intimacy just have to do with intercourse, but a lot of times it's not the intercourse per se, it's the feeling safe. It's feeling vulnerable, right? Because for women, the arousal doesn't start with you taking off my clothes, right? The arousal starts in my mind, in my emotions first before you even touch me, okay? So I never understood for me, okay? Because I don't know if I ever told y'all the story when, I don't know if I ever told you guys the story of when I was younger, how I only had one man that put their hand on me. I've never had anybody to physically abuse me, ever. I've never been in a physically abusive relationship outside of one, okay? One. And in that physical relationship, what happened was, and I don't even understand how it turned because those things can just turn so quickly, right? We went out, we had a beautiful day, and I don't know what happened, and we came home, got into like a little scuff, nothing that I thought was any big blow up, and he said something, and I said something, and I was up in his face, and this man punched me in my eye, okay? Dead smack in my eye. And I remember him picking up the phone and calling it. Well, I tried to call my mom. I did get in touch with my mom, but by the time I'm telling my mom, so and such hit me, could you, call the police, he grabbed my phone and then he proceeded to call his parents. And I remember when he called his parents, it was like so nonchalant, like he, like he was, this is how they moved in the family. Like he was used to this type of shit, right? And I remember him telling his parents, oh, I've hit Kamoy. Now, mind you, I had just moved in with this person. We were dating for a while. And my mom said to me, as long as you were living in that space, she said, I did not remember your address. She said, but when you called me the phone on that day, it was like as if God literally popped your address in my mind for me to be able to call the police. Okay. And long story short, that experience, okay, left me with a broken bone under my eye sockets, right? And it's healed now, but I can still feel the indentation, okay? The moral to the story is this. It took me a second before I was able to get out of that relationship with that person, because by then I was already married, and I think had one baby and was expecting my second child. Okay, so it was not as easy at that point to get out. And I also want to say this, especially if you're an empath. Okay, here's where the fucking thing is tricky, because if you're an empath and you are seeing somebody for their bondage and their patterns because of their own childhood, you can keep yourself chained to toxicity energy, right? And especially if, remember I told y'all, my ex had to validate my lack of self-worth. Okay, so he was verifying my lack of self-worth. Okay, but after these huge arguments and just these nasty things that he said and did, there would be times that he would get into the bed and hug me like I was the most precious thing that he ever had, and like he just didn't fucking hit me in the eye. Now, let me just say for the record here, okay, I am my mama's daughter. So let's just say hands was never put on me again, because I did call the police. And my mama had to beg me not to press charges because he was the father of my kids. Okay, but I was well on my way to pressing charges. But he got to be thankful for my mama. Got to be thankful for my mama. Okay. I share these stories with you to let you know, although I have been through all of those things, I still have the capacity to love. I still have the capacity to see beauty in people. I still have the capacity to understand that none of this stuff was meant for me to take it personally. It's all a process in my soul's evolution, right? Whether we call this the matrix, whether we call this hell on earth, it don't matter, what you call it. The third earth, or the third seed, and it don't matter what you call it, right? It doesn't matter what you call it. I still have the capacity to see love and see beauty, and I have not let all of the pain in my life stop me from that, right? Because when your pain and the trauma and the drama weighs you down, you can't see beauty, right? All you do is walk on expecting pain and drama and trauma. Okay? Everything that we've been through, I don't care how fucking painful it was. I don't, and I'm not taking away from the hurt. I'm not taking away from the crying. I'm not taking away from the agony. I'm not even taking away maybe from the physical abuse that you may have had to go through. I'm not taking away from any of that. What I am saying to you is, even though those things happen, you can still find your strength and courage to be genuinely who you are, and understand that you are an amazing beacon of light. And it don't matter what mistakes you made. Once you find you within you, man, a whole nother world opens to you. And this is why I say it's never good to judge people, because that same person that did some fucked up shit to you, if they go within and heal themselves, they can still turn out to have a fucking amazing, awesome life and live the best life ever. 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 This journey is about you remembering who the fuck you are. That's what this journey is about. And how you get there, there are many different paths to the same way. So if I'm playing out my path, okay, along this path, I got molested at a young age. Along this path, I remember somebody broke into my house and held guns when we were younger while my mama was at work, right? Along this path, I got into a relationship where I had a man put his hands on me. Along this path, I've met some beautiful people that reminded me what love is. Along this path, I've had two amazing fucking sons. You understand what I'm saying? Along this path, I've started this new channel and met all you wonderful people, right? Along this path, I'm able to take all of my pain. I'm able to take all of my pain and still come back and share wisdom with y'all. It's not where we started, y'all. Pain is never meant to hold you back or oppress you. It's not meant to do that. Pain is not meant to hold you back or oppress you. Pain is a signal of life waiting to be birthed. Okay? That's why you say that, women have multiple babies, because we forget after that first baby what their pain is until it's time to go have another one, right? Pain is an indication of life waiting to be birthed, right? Think about it, right? Even when a seed goes into the ground, they got to die to the darkness. Then the roots got to pop out of the seed. Think about a butterfly. Think about lifting weight to gain muscles. Okay? Oh, you was born in 77? Look at that. Yeah. Cheryl, sharing your story also frees you. And you know what it frees you from, Cheryl? The fucking guilt and shame that people try to keep you in. Regret that people try to hold you oppressed in. Fuck that shit. Name me one person walking this earth that haven't done some dumb shit. That hasn't done some immature shit. That hasn't done some shit that they said was love that had nothing to do with love. Name me somebody on this earth that haven't been through that. I don't care how rich or poor you are. I don't care how rich or poor you are. And Cheryl, let me tell you something else, Cheryl. Okay? Everything that you've been through was to prepare you to help somebody else along the way. Ain't none of this shit wasted. Ain't none of this shit wasted. Okay? Ain't none of this shit wasted. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you something even more. You can still turn around and find someone to love you with all of that shit in your past. Okay? Because they got a motherfucking past too. Okay? So all of this shit about, okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second. Just hear me out, okay? Okay. And I'm also going to go back down memory lane. Hold on one second. Got a cough. I don't want to cough in your ear. Hold on, y'all. So, y'all know when I was in hermit mode, there was this whole 7 Samuel thing, right? About women hitting the wall at a certain age. And the high value men. And I did not know anything about this lane or this life until it was introduced to me. Along that time, dating somebody that was heavy into that. I can't even remember, red pill world or whatever manosphere, whatever they call it, right? But I remember saying to him, I said, this is a setup. They're starting to pit men and women against each other. And when I see certain social setups like this, my first thing is, what are they trying to attack spiritually? That's the first place I go. What are you trying to attack spiritually, right? Right? So if I see you pitting men against women, right? And it's not, especially not just a melanated thing, because I'm melanated, right? And it's not just a melanated thing, but it's against men and women in general. My question is, what spiritually are you fucking with? Okay? And as I sat there and I said to him, they trying to put a split between men and women, but really what they trying to do is separate people from themselves, because we both have men and feminine energy. And if a man hates a woman, he hates also a part of himself. And if a woman hates a man, she also hates the part of herself. So they leading us right back to fucking confusion. Okay, so this is what I'm telling the person, okay? They don't see none of this shit because, you know, they're not spiritual, like, you know, on the level that I am. So they're not seeing none of this. Okay? So then he starts to talk about, you know, the whole thing, women hit the wall and men need their value and all this shit. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but this was the one that stuck to me. And I'm only talking about this because of what we've been talking about in the chat. The one that got me is when they talked about women need to keep their legs closed and not have so much partners, okay? Now listen to this, y'all. This is why you need to have independent thinking and independent feeling. Because sometimes when you shut your mouth and you listen to what people say, they contradict themselves and it makes no sense, right? So here it is, women have hit the wall. Here it is, women, you know, are hoes and they got too much partners and they got too much bodies or whatever the thing is, right? But then they follow up by saying, but women like men who are experienced sexually. But y'all need to keep y'all legs closed, okay? So then I asked my friend, I said, I'm just deductive thinking here, deductive reasoning. So if women like men who are experienced sexually, who are these men fucking? Aren't they fucking women? Aren't they fucking women? So they're telling women to keep their legs closed. How the fuck are they getting the experience that women love? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you're saying women love men with experience, right? But you're also in the same breath telling women they need to keep their legs closed because you want us wholesome and you want us having a low, sexual count, but you're also telling us that you guys as men is different because you need to have your experiences, right? Because you're men, right? Who the fuck are y'all having your experiences with? Exactly, Miss T. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I just call bullshit on a lot of things. A lot of things I see where the bullshit is because I understand your energy is your currency. So if I can keep you arguing over here about the men and the women, right? Then I can keep you away from yourself of balancing your inner man and woman, your masculine side, your deductive reasoning, independent thinking side, right? Your feminine side, right? Your emotions, your intuitive, your creativity, right? If I keep you fighting amongst each other, you don't got no time to reconcile within yourself or align yourself, right? Because I'm also teaching you to hate a part of you. So this is shit that where my mind be at, right? But obviously, not everybody's minds is there because you're still thinking about your fucking trauma. You're still thinking about your experiences, right? You're not making the connection. You see these right here. You see these choices right here, right? Everybody responsible for their own choice. Everybody. And there is no such thing as a mistake that you cannot go back and take what you've missed and apply it the next time around, even if it's not within this lifetime. Mistakes are meant to go back and take what you missed. Let me show y'all something. I want to show you guys how you are living in a world of illusion. Okay? You're living in a world of illusion and reflection. Okay? Let me show y'all something right here. You can say this is a spiritual realm. You can say this is a physical realm. It don't matter. Okay? On one realm, let's say this is a spiritual realm. I'm going to write this on. Wait, let me show you. I'm going to give y'all a visual how this shit works. Okay? You got the line. You got the spiritual realm up here. I'm going to put a S here, right? You can put a P down here, okay? So I'm going to write this word here. This is the spiritual realm. You see that? Can you see? Right? You see what that spells? Okay? I'm going to flip this upside down because this realm, the spiritual realm, is supposed to be reflecting here, right? And this physical realm is supposed to be reflecting here, right? But some people don't fucking see themselves, okay? You don't see the spiritual realm as trying to get you to live. What you see is this. Do you see that? Yep, it is. It's happening at the same time under the blanket. So when you talk about evil and good, it's as above, so below. But what it told you right here? What it said right here? What it said right here? Perception, perception, perception. How you perceiving this thing? Do you see evil? Because things are being mirrored back, right? Do you see that you can live as above, so below? Everything is a reflection, right? But down here in this physical plane, you're in what they would call on that show Stranger Things, the upside down world. Everything is introverted. Everything is really pulsating from this realm up here. Everything. Everything first happens in the unseen realm, the spiritual realm. Everything pulsates from here. By the time it gets past this line, right? So this line right here could represent childhood trauma. Let's see. We got childhood trauma playing out right in this line because it's coming down, right? So you got trauma over here. You got drama, right? You got let's just put sexual confusion because you've been taught you can't authentically be yourselves, right? Here you got doubt, right? Because of your childhood, you ain't never gonna be enough, you ain't never gonna have enough, right? You got a lack mentality, right? You also got religious factors here because a lot of us grew up being told we sinners and we going to hell, right? And you ain't never gonna be shit, right? So how could a God that says that I am everything, I am wonderful, I am the most beautiful creation, and then still turn around in the same breath and tell me that I ain't shit? Right? So no matter what text you go through spiritually, there's always going to be a guide to let you know this is the realm of truth up here. This right here is the realm of truth because universally, or even if you're calling it God, if you're calling it source, right? Everything in source lives. It's an expansion. But everything in source also dies because without death, there can be no life. Whether you got to die to an old thought, an old pattern, an old system, belief, or action or habit, something got to die for something to live. There has to be a handoff or what we would call a sacrifice in this realm, okay? And the sacrifice is always first going to be energetic. It's always going to be a letting go. And what we call sacrifice is really just a collapse, okay? So you got an expansion, right? Which is a breathing, your breath. So you expand your breathing in. You exhale, right? You're breathing out. You're contracting, breathing in. You're contracting, right? Exhaling, you're expanding. All of this is breath. All of this, every fucking thing reduces down to energy and breath. Energy and breath. Energy and breath. Energy and breath. Energy, as a man thinketh, so it is. The words of your mind. Energy and breath. And all of this is breathing. Your breath is everything. Your breath carries the sound of everything, y'all. Everything is a tide. Everything is a reflection of itself. But when you get over to this physical world, a lot of this information, what we would consider to be evil, is really just a collapse of the breath. It's the inhale process and the exhale process that they're talking about, right? It's the positive, negative charge. You need a positive and a negative charge to create electricity or electromagnetic electricity. A lot of y'all, you may not know this. I am a trained professional sound audio engineer. I spent a lot of money and went back to school to be a producer, thinking that I was going to be recording in somebody's studio, only to realize that I didn't like repeating the same song over and over again for hours at weeks at a time. I couldn't take that, hearing the song. So by the time you guys hear a song or a movie or soundtrack and stuff, we are sick of that shit because we've been hearing that shit for months. Okay? So I quickly realized that it was not so much about the business and going down that path, but it was about me studying energy, because when I went back to school, this is how I have so much vast of information. They had to show me how sound work. They had to show me how sound exists on every octave and how sound is used to control us. That's what I learned in that school. That's what I paid over $25,000 to learn and come back and let y'all know. This stuff that I'm letting y'all know right now is over years of being called to study different things. So I went from going to school in the same year, going to school to become a professional producer. I went to school to become a professional recording producer. That same year, I also went to get my NLP certification. And NLP is Neuro Linguistic Programming. I wanted to learn what made people think, what made people do the things that they do. I wanted to understand human behavior. So here it is. I'm listening to my spirit being told, okay, you're going to go to school for this. I did not understand back then what one had to do with the next, because I did both of those classes in the space of the same year. I did not know that this is a path that this knowledge was needed for, right? And it didn't make sense to me how being a producer had anything to do with neuro-linguistic programming. I didn't understand that I was being able to collect this information so I can be a bridge to help you guys make this connection. Yep. Now, Shirley, what you're going to learn is starting next week, we are going to be working on exactly that sound and how sound connects to your nervous system, and how we've now stepped into a frequency of sound. We are no longer at the frequency of light, okay? So let me ask you guys a question. So what do you think comes first, sound or light? Okay, Shirley said, I had to learn about sound and vibration from all my travels and training as a spa and beauty therapist. Okay. Oh, I'm glad I met you too, Shirley. Shirley, I'm just a reflection of you. Okay, so Shirley, you say light? Okay. You can tell Miss T, yeah, Miss T's a day one, okay? Miss T's a day one. So Miss T heard me talk about this before. Miss T's a day one. Okay. So Shirley, it is light. It is sound. It is not light. Okay, the fastest vibration there is not light, it is sound. And I'm gonna tell you how that is. Okay, and just so you know, okay, yeah, Shirley, I am also trained in Reiki. So imagine being able to connect Reiki to the octaves and the sounds. Oh my gosh, I just be in heaven. I don't even know. I be geeked out over here. Okay, geeked out. Okay, so. Confirmation of knowing that sound is faster than light. If you go back to any of your ancient texts, it tells you, right? I am going to use the Bible as reference because that is what I grew up on. And in Genesis, it tells you, in the beginning, what happened? It said, in the beginning, God said, what did God say in the beginning? Let there be light. Okay? So the sound was spoken before light could be, okay? The word is a sound, okay? Your words are sounds, your words are tone. So in the beginning, God said is an indication to let you know sound is faster than light. Although they would have us to think it's not. You see, because right now, that's another thing with the Quasi era, okay? Right now, they study a lot of light. They're going to go into studying sound because sound is the original tone. Sound is where all of the mystic shit happens, okay? Not in light. It happens in sound, okay? Yep, the om, your light language, let there be light. Exactly. Yeah. So Shirley, yeah, I'm also a trained Reiki. Shirley, have you watched any of my other videos? You need to check out my activation where I talk about 3A Atlas as well as the A6 Lemon comments. I think you will find it very, because it goes into your crystalline healing. I think you need to check that out. Okay. And if you have not checked out my gateway to healing your nervous system, you need to do that because it all links up to everything you are working on. Okay? See, I knew you were a fucking healer. I knew you were a healer. Oh my gosh, I knew you were a healer. Okay? And get quiet with yourself too, because one of your gifting is you will be able to see ailments in people's bodies. See, feel them. I don't know if you've already started that now, especially with the Reiki work, okay? You're going to be able to see where people need healing with their bodies, especially when it comes to their trapped, okay, I'm just going to tell you how it's coming out, especially around trapped reproductive areas. You will be able to see where the connection is, right? Because you usually, that, it may start in the reproductive area like your root chakra or maybe like your solar plexus, right? But then it leads up to your heart. So if somebody comes in and they say to me, well, okay, well, I'm having throat pain, right? Like my throat, there's something going on with my throat, right? I am going to then go back first probably to your sacral chakra, right? Or your solar plexus and see what emotions or feelings or relationship that you're running from, right? And depending on how you answer that, then I may go to the root chakra to see exactly like what your foundational shit is, okay? Okay, see? Shirley, you can go ahead and email me. It's foryourinnervoice@gmail.com. The same name of the channel, all together, one word, @gmail.com. Come on now. See? You see? So people out here not understanding that you operating in the sacred whore, you operating in the sacred whore covering and, you know, they think it's promiscuous, but you out here activating shit and correcting shit. Okay, so my grandfather was a self-taught magician. Oh. So you were already, man, you were already tuned. You just need to match the tone. Oh, you was here last week? Okay, perfect. Okay, okay. You was a massage therapist? I'm done. Girl, I'm done. Thank you, Miss T. Miss T put the email address in there for you. I am done. I'm done. All right, y'all, how long have I been on here? Okay, we did good. We did like an hour and 30 minutes today, y'all. Okay, so y'all know the deal, okay? Can I just say how much I love you guys? I don't know if I told you guys earlier at the beginning of the video that in my meditation today, I felt the release of a lot of us just freeing ourselves. It was so beautiful. I cried for like 20 minutes in that meditation. It was so beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you for remembering yourself, okay? Because I understand that you are a reflection of me. I understand that we are all connected. I understand that we made a divine appointment to be here to remind each other at this particular time, in this particular space, who we are, without judgment, right? Without judgment, just acceptance and love, okay? We got this, all right? I'm excited, y'all, because we finna work this energy. Oh, no. If you have not gotten your journals out, you should have your journals. Please have your journals by Monday, y'all. Okay, have your journals by Monday. I suggest you get 3 of them because I'm finna teach you some shit. Okay, you're gonna need at least 3 journals, or at least, you know, if you can't get 3, do 2. And I say before you run out there buying journals, go through the journals that you already have. You may find that you got some blank journals sitting around, okay? And then if you find a blank journal, you may want to read what you have already written in that journal. It may be very timeless, okay? But starting next week, we finna get into the practicality of how everything I've been speaking about, maybe for the past 3 weeks to a month, we finna get into how you're gonna make it work for you and how you're gonna connect it to the things that you've been experiencing and how you're gonna know that it is a thin line between mysticism and insanity and that you're not crazy. Or maybe you are crazy. I don't know. It just depends, right? I'm just saying, y'all, okay? I'm just saying. Now, Shirley, where are you located? Where are you located? You know my angel. Let a pad on my foot pad. Girl, listen. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. You in the UK? Oh, thank you so much for showing up. Not just for yourself, but for making sure you bless us with your energy. Okay? All right, so put on y'all notifications if you have not subscribed. We're gonna go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Okay, I'm gonna be back here tomorrow again, y'all. Okay, we're gonna do this again tomorrow. All right. So in the meantime, you need to get your journals, and starting next week, starting next Monday, you want to show up with your water. I'm gonna show you how to charge water. We're gonna break down why that is important and how you can use it to help activate and heal your crystalline grid, to heal the grid. Okay. So please, 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 these are things I'm teaching you, practical things to do, okay, and how this works. All right. So y'all know the deal. You want to go ahead and do something kind for yourself, my loves, because you absolutely friggin' should. Okay, and then you want to go ahead and do something kind for somebody, not because they deserve it, but because you can, right? And positivity is contagious, confidence is contagious, joy is contagious, bliss is contagious. Okay, so yeah, happiness is contagious. So that's why you want to do it. You receive in output what you give in input. Okay, output equals input. All right. I love you guys much, and I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. Bye, my loves. Bye, everybody. See you guys tomorrow.